is dedicated to blockchain marketplace and NFTs. We will start with the fact that blockchains are shared databases of cryptocurrency transactions. However, there is a possibility to deploy both programs called smart contracts and other information such as hashtags of various digital assets directly on them. Once this happens, the information is destined to stay forever on blockchain. This makes it possible to develop various market mechanisms, such as publishing, supply, and discovery, demand for the information published on the blockchain. In this way, various marketplaces can be formed. This workshop will explore the actual potential of blockchain marketplaces in the next generation internet. The moderator of the workshop is Dr. Petar Kočovski, University of Ljubljana, Faculty of Computer and Information Science. Could you please join me here on stage? And of course, the stage is yours. Please introduce also all the participants of the workshop.
Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you once again to this event and the workshop called the Blockchain Marketplace and NFTs. My name is Petar Kočovski, and I come from the University of Ljubljana. And today I will be the moderator of this workshop. So the first speaker today comes from the French company iExec, which actually introduces a new paradigm for cloud computing, and it offers cloud resources that can be traded on the global market. Our speaker is Anthony Simone Boulogne. Anthony, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Petar, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here in Ljubljana and I guess everywhere else remotely to speak about these decentralized marketplaces and NFTs, which are really at the core of what we do at iExec. So my name is Anthony Simone Boulogne. I am a research scientist with iExec. iExec, which is a tiny but growing startup company founded in 2016 by two researchers from INRIA and the Chinese Academy of Science. Just for a bit of history, the company was funded based on an ICO, the company raised an ICO in 2017. The result was about 10,000 Bitcoin raised in a few hours, and that funded the development of the next 5 years of the project. And we had a very ambitious roadmap. There is a little cut on the sides here. But the message here is we have a product that came in different versions progressively to enable the exchange of cloud computing assets, data sets, applications, servers in a fully decentralized manner and without any sort of friction. So I think the key word here for us is decentralization. We really care about decentralization. So what do we mean by centralized or decentralized? Centralized cloud computing is the cloud computing that we all know, where the market is monopolized by a couple of providers that I don't need to name because we already know them. This concentration of power in the industry creates unfair pricing, vendor locking, in a sense that once you have deployed your business at one of the providers, it's very hard to switch to a different provider if the prices change, if the conditions change. You have limited transparency, limited auditability, because you don't know what happens behind the dashboard. Once you click to deploy a microservice or to boot a VM, you don't know what actually happens with your data. You don't know where your program is running. You don't know who is running what. You have no guarantee that the result that you get has not been modified or forged. You cannot assess for sure the quality of your data, the fact that your data wasn't modified or stolen in the way. Finally, it is even possible to censor participants. It is entirely possible for one cloud provider to say, I don't want to do any business with you, so you have to move somewhere else. Or maybe there is an embargo on your country, so you cannot access my services anymore. So decentralized marketplaces, what we're building, the goal is first to base all of the exchange of data cloud computing assets on market mechanisms. So the prices are determined by the market. So the pricing is fair. It is also fair competition because it's easy to get into the market and to leave it. And it's easy for people, for the users, to switch from one provider to the other, because the application now is developed using an SDK that is the iExec SDK, that is not a cloud provider, that is an intermediary to access cloud providers, instead of using the AWS SDK or the Azure SDK. So you deploy your application, you are free to choose your provider, and then every execution, every data exchange is approved and traced on the blockchain. So you always have an immutable trace of what happens with your application and your data. You have smooth execution, smooth business agreements, because you don't need to sign a contract to join. You can automatically perform a comparison of offers and of demands, and really program your environment for enable fair and smooth competition. And of course, because the marketplace is deployed on Ethereum, on a blockchain, it cannot be stopped. We cannot censor you. We cannot say your application is not allowed on our platform. We cannot say you cannot rent your servers on our platform. What we have instead is a reputation mechanism where the blockchain tracks the reputation of all of the parties. And again, it is all based on fair competition. If you did a good job in the past, then people will use the service. And if you did not do a good job, then people will not use your service. But we cannot stop you from trying to sell your services. So very roughly, how does it work? At the center here is the blockchain marketplace. And at the top, the dApp store, the workers, and I believe on the right is the data store. All of these are off-chain. So every actor in the network expresses an intent to do something like monetize an application or monetize data set by emitting market orders. So I will say, I am an application developer. I am willing to sell my application and I would like to get this amount of tokens per execution. Or I am a cloud provider. I can execute this type of jobs and I'm willing to do it for this amount of tokens. All of these orders go to the blockchain. And once we have a match between offer and demand, then an off-chain execution can start. This off-chain execution is governed by a middleware and reports to the blockchain. So everything happens off-chain, but is traced back on the blockchain. At the end of the execution, we have a proof of correct execution on the blockchain. We have a distributed consensus on the Ethereum blockchain in our smart contracts that attest that the application that ran was the correct application, that the result is the correct one, and that everyone behaved correctly. And then we can automatically, again, without friction, execute the payment on the blockchain. So we have two levels of task, roughly speaking. Standard tasks run on traditional hardware. They are based on replication. So these are perfect for oracles, for example. If you need to run a program and you need to convince everyone in the world that your program behaved correctly and that the data it produced is correct, then you can do standard tasks. The only thing with that is that they have to be deterministic because of replication. Now we are moving to a different type of task that rely on trusted execution environments. So these are TE tasks. Here, what we do is we allow you to encrypt your input data entirely end to end so that it can only be decrypted by a specific container, Docker container that you have audited. And what we report back to the blockchain is the proof that the output is really the result of this Docker container and of this input data. So we don't need replication because the trust in the result comes from the trusted execution environment. And here another advantage is that determinism is not required because, again, the proof that the code is correct is just the remote attestation of the secure enclave. I think I've been speaking quite fast, so let's see. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention here, I think, is so every asset here, the data sets, applications, workers are NFTs. So that's a feature that we don't advertise much and that we haven't exploited a lot. But what that means is my application is an NFT. So theoretically, it will get revenue every time it is used. It will get revenue to the owner of the NFT. So you can transfer that ownership. You can even program sophisticated things like having a multi-sig be the owner of the application. meaning that you can automatically show the revenue of the assets that you put on the marketplace. So this is for the NFT side that at the moment we haven't really advertised, but just know that all of these things at the top, applications, data, and the workers, they are NFTs. Now, just a word on research projects. So I don't think I need to introduce On2Chain, but we are members of the On2Chain consortium. So we participate in the selection and the coaching of projects. All of the projects funded by On2Chain can use the iExec marketplace for free. And the idea here is really to get together and build something bigger. Another interesting project that we're running is Data Cloud, which is also an edge computing project. So Data Cloud is about enabling deploying big data pipeline in the fog to edge continuum. The idea behind it being, we believe that this pool-based model, low connectivity worker model is very appropriate for fog computing. Because we can schedule tasks on workers that are already deployed everywhere, that are not in their own control, without knowing the state of the entire infrastructure. So we believe this is very scalable and very applicable to the fog computing use case. And finally, we are just launching in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, a joint laboratory between iExec and CNRS in France. So the joint laboratory is about building scalable, trusted, decentralized marketplaces. Again, here we'll have a focus mostly, I think, on performance and confidentiality. So this is just starting. If you're interested, we're having a scientific workshop, I think, in two weeks. And you can, if you're in Lyon, you can come by, but I think it will be mostly a physical event. And finally, I don't know how much time I have. Probably not much. I encourage you to try us. I just put 2 links here, but we have many more. Just you can just ask me. The first link, developers.iex.ec, is a very nice point-and-click demonstration on our website of some of the functionalities that I talked about here. So you can try to run an application, same application with different providers in your browser. You can try to use confidential computing. We have a demonstration where you encrypt your email into your browser and execute a service that will send an email without actually seeing your email. That is really cool. And I also encourage you to check out iex.ec/grants, because we have a developer program and we basically give grants in our tokens for developers to develop and deploy applications that use the iExec stack. So that's all for me. I think if you have questions, we will do that at the end of the session, right? So thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. So the next speaker today will be Thanasis Papaioannou. He comes from the Athens University of Economics and Business. And also, I would like to invite all the participants to write their questions in the chat box or post them at the end of the session. Thanks.
Okay, so hello. My name is Thanasis Papaioannou. And I'm going to talk to you in a less technical way about things that that are of interest in the blockchain era. And we are going to talk about the evolutions in the blockchain market and in the business models in this landscape. And especially, I will conclude my my presentation with some specific business model for the On2Chain project where I'm involved. First of all, as Peter said already, I am Thanasis Papaioannou, senior researcher and lecturer at the University, Athens University of Economics and Business in Greece. So, why we care about blockchain in general? I mean, it involves so much money. It was this market was valued at 3.67 billion in 2020, and it was expected. It is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 82.4% from 2021 to 2028, according to GradView Research. And the previous research was expecting that to be 67.3% until 2025, which is a compatible result. So it means that two consecutive reports by different companies found roughly the same estimates. So it seems that this is growing very fast and too much. And in terms of region, Europe is at a good place. It's expected, it's predicted to grow really highly and almost equally with the US and the Asia Pacific areas. And the growth is really significant. And in terms of application, we can see and we know, I mean, with all the fuss with cryptocurrency markets and the decentralized finance, we know that the dominant services right now are the financial services. But a significant portion of the pie also are government applications and healthcare ones, while also other application sectors also gain pace as time passes. In terms of, from the previous speakers, probably also from the previous sessions, you know that there are different kinds of distributed ledger technologies, public ones open to outsiders and to new applications and to new users. Private ones, which are, I mean, you need to subscribe and it's a closed group and you need to register in order to use the services and so on. And hybrid ones, which combine these two notions. And we see that the public blockchains are expected to be the dominant ones in the future. So in terms of the technological landscape, we have some major platforms around these days, like Ethereum that supports dApps, smart contracts, and NFTs. It's public. IBM blockchain, which is private and supports dApps. Hyperledger Fabric, private, that is focused on data exchange and privacy friendly. Hyperledger Sawtooth, customizable and supports trusted secure enclaves. R3 Corda, federated platform, supports optimized for DeFi, and it is a de facto standard for insurance applications. Tezos, that supports smart contracts, NFTs, DeFi. EOSIO, DApp smart contracts. Stellar for decentralized finance, and Quorum, which is a customized version of Ethereum pioneered by JP Morgan, which is, of course, oriented towards banking applications. And if we want to categorize a little bit or sort out this list of all these platforms, one should categorize them in terms of consensus mechanisms that they employ, centralization versus decentralization that they involve, whether they are private or public, as I said previously, whether they offer some development tools for third-party developers to really deploy applications on top of these platforms in terms of performance, in terms of maturity, and in terms of smart contract support. Finally, here, I will not read this list, but I put it there for future reference. There is a long list of major vendors in this blockchain market. In terms of business models, there is a number of ways that people make money in these platforms. One way is by means of ICOs, initial coins offerings, that and these coins are later used as utility tokens. And a token economy is built around of this, and it offers some lock-in into the platform I mean, this utility token offers some lock-in advantage. for the platform, and also facilitates the employment of any application that is offered into the platform, and also the original developers of the platform. As the value of the token increases, they also gain money because they kept some portion of the tokens to themselves. This token economy is often combined with a networking fee charge. So some platforms host decentralized applications and charge them with a fee. And this is how they cover costs. For example, this is Neo that has a network fee, Notion at least. Also, these platforms can be offered as development and for developmental purposes, as development platforms for, people building their own decentralized applications. Also, there is a space for software providers either to provide software solutions that are blockchain-based in this model, or by offering some DApp development services or some support for existing services that are deployed in the blockchain. And finally, there is this scenario of the P2P blockchain business model where actually you have this token economy, but a portion of the transaction fees is kept by the platform. So in on-chain, we aim for to enable applications that need either trustworthy services and or data exchange, or trustworthy content handling. Any kind of decentralized applications that need one of those should benefit from on-chain platform. How do we offer this? How we intend to offer this? Because we are growing this platform, we are developing this platform through third-party contributors. Originally, they are funded by EU money, but when this ends, the future sustainability of the platform will be maintained as follows. We offer the platform as a software as a service or a platform as a service platform where different decentralized applications can be hosted or different applications can be developed with a fee. And end users of these decentralized applications pay some transaction fees, and the portion of this transaction fee is kept by the platform, and the platform distribute to the different SDKs that are employed by the decentralized application the portion of this transaction fee which is kept by the platform. Also, the on-chain platform is responsible for paying the nodes that consist the blockchain network with gas fees. So overall, we made some preliminary economic sustainability analysis, and we found that with realistic, and this is my last slide. Okay. This is my last slide. We found that it is feasible, totally feasible, to have a win-win situation in this concept where everybody has a really satisfactory, more than satisfactory IRR. So with this, I thank you very much, and I hope that you found that there is huge potential in many business models in this area.
Next, I invite on the stage Marcin Zarakovsky, who will represent the Bitcoin Association.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me here. My name is Marcin Zarakovsky. I work as legal counsel and public policy manager for Bitcoin Association for BSV in Switzerland. And I would like to focus today on the marketplace of everything. So in the last couple of years, we've seen different trends in the blockchain and crypto industry. From 2016 till 2018, we saw the ICO boom. Then 2019, 2020, we saw the emergence of DeFi. And recently, 2021, we saw the NFT craze, which means that we saw a lot of people actually, or entities, creating non-fungible tokens for objects, collectibles, that then were sold for huge amounts of money, and then they made the headlines in the news. Some of the examples, there are two types of NFTs. One of them can be created natively on the blockchain. And as an example of that would be CryptoPunks. One of those was sold at Sotheby's by more than 11 million US dollars. Then a different type of an NFT that actually was created for something that existed in our real life. So an NFT for LeBron James, who is an NBA basketball player, for a recording of his slam dunk that was sold for 400,000 US dollars. However, I would like to go a little bit beyond that hype. I don't want to talk about marketplaces, existing marketplaces for the NFTs, as I mentioned earlier, but I would like to talk about the marketplace for everything. Imagine a world in which every single object, every single right, and like ownership, for example, has a digital twin, a token. If it's unique and non-fungible, it can be in a form of an NFT, non-fungible token. These may have forms of like art collectibles, real estate, identities, certificates, licenses, degrees, keys, passes, wills, voting rights, tickets, copyrights, ownership rights, software licenses, medical data, supply chain certificates, and so on and so forth. The list is definitely not exclusive. All those rights, however, will have to be recorded somewhere on a ledger. And here the blockchain comes into play. However, I think there are two key problems for the existing blockchain platforms when it comes to NFTs. One of them is their scalability, or actually their inability to scale. And the second one would be transaction fees, which is actually a consequence of the former. Okay, so we have all those tokens, non-fungible tokens recorded on the blockchain. But that would be rather a static world. In order to fully reflect our daily activities, these tokens would have to be transacted. So whenever we enter a plane and we buy a ticket, that will be a transaction. Whenever we want to start an engine of our car, that will be a transaction as well. Whenever we enter into our house or an apartment, same, that could be also a transaction. All those transactions will be recorded on the ledger, should be recorded on the ledger. And we can think of thousands, tens of thousands transactions per day that each of us would really make. The existing legacy transaction processing systems are unable to handle all those transactions. To start with, the small dot on the left of the slide is Ethereum. Approximately, Ethereum can handle 17 to 20 transactions per second. Ripple, 1,500. Just for comparison, I put Visa here, which can handle 24,000 transactions per second. During peaks, can be even like 40, 50,000. But it's still not enough. The data about BSV blockchain, this 5,124 transactions, was taken from March this year. However, in June, in Zurich, during a conference, we did a live presentation where our Terranode software was able to process between 50,000 and 80,000 transactions per second. With the new implementation of Terranode that is being developed now, we could go to 100,000 transactions per second, but this is just the beginning. A month ago, on the 16th of August, 2 gigabyte block was mined on BSV blockchain. It's a world record. Actually, the previous one, 1 gigabyte and something, was also belonged to BSV blockchain. And the previous one before as well, and the one before that as well, it's the same. This basically shows that BSV blockchain has unbounded scalability. 2 gigabytes is also just the beginning. You can think of 10 gigabytes, 100 gigabytes, 1 terabyte. Actually, I've just realized that the headline here is wrong. Even though it's true, it should be actually that Ethereum transaction fees are high. So on this chart, you can see the average daily transaction fees. The data is from yesterday, so it was almost $4 per transaction. This is just the average. During the first months of this year, the daily average reached $25 per transaction, and periodically even 75. But one single transaction in Ethereum blockchain can cost you even higher. BSV blockchain, on the other hand, is able to process a transaction with a fee that is just a fraction of a US cent. This opens enormous possibilities. Just to conclude, NFTs are going to be a key element of this new token economy of the future. Unfortunately, the existing blockchain platforms are unable to process all the transactions that will be required. We believe that BSV blockchain, thanks to its unbounded scalability, large blocks, and potential in microtransactions, is the only answer to these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcin. The next presentation will be presented by Manuel Gonzalez Alzuru.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk very quickly about NFTs, DAO, and social impact. So yeah, what are NFTs? NFTs, as you know, are non-fungible tokens, also known as NFTs, which are unique digital assets that live on chain. And it can range from digital goods, items that live in digital worlds, or even physical assets and land certificates. Jesse Walden says something really cool, which is NFTs make it possible to own digital media assets in the same way that you can own digital currency assets like Bitcoin. So yeah, as you know, we have like the fungibility, the semi-fungibility, and non-fungibility. So the fungibility is essentially that you can divide the asset and you can exchange one for another, and it will be basically the same value. The semi-fungibility is, for example, tickets for a concert that don't have a seat. Everyone has a ticket that might have, you know, a unique serial number, but you can exchange it with another person because it doesn't have a seat. Or let's say a pair of shoes. And yeah, and the non-fungibility part is for assets that cannot be divided. 1 second, let me open this up. So yeah, let's say in the digital world, we have standards for content like HTML, CSS, JSON. Also, we have the other type of standards for communication like TCP, IP, HTTP, and so on. And in the blockchain, we have other type of standards like ERC20, ERC 721, ERC 1155, and so on. So what are the key benefits of NFTs? Well, let's say, depending on where they're living, they can be secure and transparent. Also, you can have a way of proving authenticity. You could also build on top of them. Most of the people think of NFTs like as a piece of art, but in reality, for me, NFTs are kind of like a Lego block, and it can be used for any type of thing. So, for example, a creator can today issue an NFT that could be, let's say, a piece of art that they have, but they can build on top of that. For example, they can build experiences. If you hold this specific NFT, you can meet me in a Zoom call or whatever. Also, you can encode into them some lifetime royalties. However, it's important to mention that not all the NFTs have lifetime royalties, because most of the platforms only have the royalties baked into one platform. So that means if you move one NFT from one platform to another, you might lose completely the royalties. So we need to actually build better standards for that. There are different use cases, like as I mentioned, art, music, moments, digital good and experiences, also physical. They can have like this digital twin as well. They can also be used for events, for virtual worlds, and stores as well in the virtual worlds, for rewards and gamification. also for proof of impact. And so, and every time, let's say that you contribute to a social cause, you might be receiving an NFT that you can display in your social media, for example. You can also use NFTs for gated content, also for certificates of authenticity. Yeah, as you guys know, there's a lot of things going on in the NFT world. Beeple saw over 69 million, pack in a couple of weeks ago, over 16.8 million also in a Sotheby's event. Blau, he sold over $11.6 million for 33 digital albums. And yeah, and there are more that are also happening in the social impact sector. So we saw the Carbon Drop together with Beeple and many other artists that raised over $6.6 million for the Open Earth Foundation. The one from Edward Snowden, over $5.5 million. The creator of Rick and Morty, raised over $1 million and gave it to the Los Angeles homeless. So what I'm trying to say with this slide is that currently creators are using their digital content for funding causes that they care about. And we're seeing an explosion on that. And actually, most of the drops right now, they have a social impact element built into it. From my perspective, I think that creators that are not aligned with social impact will have a difficult time to actually be accepted by their communities. So now let's talk about what are DAOs. So yeah, many people say that DAOs are magic internet organization. Other people say that DAO is a commitment to share value with a community, or a multi-sig. And yeah, for me, DAO is just a way for communities to share value in one way or in another. And here's the DAO landscape. We have DAO operating systems that are basically used for people to launch other DAOs on top of them. We have investment DAOs, funding, different protocols, different DAOs itself as well. Also, we have the grants DAO, basically just, providing grants in the whole ecosystem. And we're also seeing an explosion of collectors DAOs. We haven't seen an explosion yet on creators DAOs. I personally believe that's going to happen next. But right now, we're seeing the collectors DAO, so a group of people coming together to buy those assets. Blizzard DAO is actually one of the biggest one, I would say, the one that has been buying the most amount of NFTs that have social impact linked to them. And yeah, and also Flamingo DAO as well. Then we have other DAOs like the protocol DAOs that basically they're just they just have like different mechanics for distributing value across the whole ecosystem. Then we have service DAOs, which are essentially organizations that are providing services to the other different protocols or the different blockchain projects, and as well other DAOs. We have the social DAOs that are basically like clubs, people coming together for a reason, whether it's collecting NFTs, or maybe going to music festivals, or maybe even creating other projects that have social experiences around them. And then we have the media DAOs, like Forefront, Banklex, and a couple of other more, which is basically people coming together and creating a media channel that allows people to contribute to it. So yeah, what is social impact? Social impact is the effect on people and communities that happens as a result of an action or inaction, an activity, project, program, or policy. So as you know, the United Nations, they have 17 SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. Everyone is talking in the NFT space only about climate change, but actually we as humanity are facing way more problems than only climate change. As I said, there are over 17 that the United Nations wants to focus on for basically achieving them by 2030. And it's quite crazy that it's needed around $4 trillion per year until 2030 in order for us to achieve that. And currently, there's no way of funneling that money. There's no way of basically having transparency when it comes to where the money comes from, where the money is going, and so on. Also, we're seeing an explosion in the social impact when it comes to the blockchain industry. We have projects like R-Trees, the Giving Block, Giveth, and many other more. And yeah, what we're doing here at Doing Good, we're mixing NFTs, DAOs, social impacts, and DeFi. And yeah, basically Doing Good, the mission is that every expression of human being, until every expression of human creativity builds a better world. And that means that basically every time that you post a piece of content, that piece of content is going to be tokenized, and a percentage of that is going to a social cause that the creator cares about. So yeah, Doing Good is an NFT ecosystem, empowering creators, collectors, curators, and communities to do good. And the idea is to become a DAO and be self-owned, self-sustained, and self-governed. And yeah, we're going to be having also a token for enabling people to basically make decisions within the ecosystem. And yeah, one of the things that I have realized is that most of the people don't know that NFTs are enabling people to collaborate and automate different type of payments. Also, the idea is that actually NFTs themselves, they are kind of like a social ledger. So if people have collected on a specific asset, they can have a group chat and they can interact with each other. Another thing is that everyone thinks that NFTs are permanent when in reality they're not, depending on where they're being stored. So right now, most of the people are using IPFS, which is actually a protocol. It's not a permanent storage solution, but there are other solutions like Airweave or also Filecoin. And our idea is to actually be redundant when it comes to the creation of NFTs. So that means having the data stored in multiple decentralized storage networks. And yeah, obviously being able to have transparency when it comes to the donation process. So whenever a creator is donating to a specific cause, they can display it in their profile, and you could see like where is the money going, to which social cause is going, and which part of the world is going. And yeah, just want to be aware of the time. Thank you so much for hosting me here. Bye-bye.
So I see here that there are some questions for you and the other speakers in the chat. So we can discuss them after the last presentation in this workshop today, which is Marcel Müller, who comes from the company JadenX, where he's a founder, and he works on the KnowledgeX project funded by the NGI Onto-Chain project.
Thank you very much, Peter. I would like to start with my presentation of you, giving you a little bit of an overview what KnowledgeX is and what we are doing. So we are part of the NGI Onto-Chain project, and we are strongly related to the IXSec presentation that you have seen here at the beginning of the workshop. And I would like to give you a very short overview about what exactly KnowledgeX is and why we should care about it. So when we think about data science, I know we are here in an NFT workshop, but I think many of you know what data science is. You have experienced it over the last couple of years. Many companies realized that there's a lot of value in their data that they have maybe collected over the past couple of years, and insights they could generate from it. So, for example, energy grid providers are collecting data for their grid stability. Machinists are collecting data to see how the wear and tear of their machinery is degrading over time. And also financial institutions collect data to detect fraud. This data has a large inherent value that you can harness with a thing called data science. Data science is basically analyzing data and applying machine learning or artificial intelligence algorithms on it to extract this value. And at the moment, we are in a situation where we have a lot of demand for these kind of data science or the data scientists, but we do not have so much supply around. And that hits especially hard small and mid-sized entities. So when you think about large projects or large companies who have their own data science departments, they might not be in a big shortage, but small or mid-sized entities with 10 or 15 people who do not have the funds to sustain a whole data science department might have issues to harness the power that they have in their data and to make insights out of them. This whole data science field, you see especially a short-term culture where typically data scientists do not stay long within companies. So the average turnover rate is about 2 years. And it also is a little bit of a reflection of the markets, because when you think back to 2020, I have here some statistics that said that there was worldwide a global shortage of 250,000 data scientists that could not be brought into jobs because they were just not on the market. The solution for countering short-term culture, having very specialist experts in a field would usually be freelancers. But in that field of data science, like freelancing has not evolved that much, just because many people or many companies do not want to give away their data to someone external who they might not necessarily trust. They have to adhere to processing regulations, to GDPR if you're looking into personally identifiable data, and also in terms of the raw business value that is there. And that has been an obstacle for that whole data science market over the last couple of years. And this is exactly where Knowledge X comes into place, and where we are using blockchain and in a decentralized setup to create value that could otherwise not be created. Knowledge X consists of the Knowledge X marketplace and the Knowledge X trustworthy computing environment. The Knowledge X marketplace is a place where we connect data scientists and data owners. So just like a regular freelancer marketplace, we are providing matchmaking services where someone can say, hey, I need here an expert in time series analysis, and the platform is providing a pre-selection of 3 different people who can help them. Once two parties agreed on that they would like to work together, they can use the Knowledge X trustworthy computing environment to execute data science tasks in an auditable way. And this is exactly where the IXSec framework that Anthony presented earlier in this workshop is coming in. We offer 3 different ways of processing data. One on the premises of the owner's infrastructure, where the data never leaves, so to speak, the house. Secondly, in traditional cloud, and thirdly, in a highly confidential cloud using trusted execution environments. All of these modes are supported by IXSec and the decentralized cloud computing paradigm behind it. And what secures it all is basically the blockchain and the information that we are storing on the blockchain. The blockchain manages all processing agreements in smart contracts. We store cloud resource allocation, authorization, and attestations in the blockchain in smart contracts to have later integrity preserved and enable auditability of tasks that have been doing. From value generation and in terms of business model, how this all works as a marketplace is that the Knowledge X platform provides services to procure data scientists to the data owner, or to get jobs to the knowledge generators, interfacing, integration, and conflict resolution. On the other hand, we have decentralized workers in the IXSec platform that contributes their computation power where these jobs can be securely executed and audited. And therefore, we are using the IXSec token. And we distinguish between 2 different ways, so to speak, to manage or to execute data science jobs securely on our platform. One is where we have basically here the Knowledge X platform taking care of all, let's say, the crypto the crypto layer of abstraction, right? You have to manage wallets, you have to have tokens, you have to make transactions, and in the fully managed version that we connected here, you can do that all without having to install MetaMask or anything on your computer, but then you have to trust our platform. If you don't wish to do so, you can go for the full control version and manage all your crypto, all your transactions by your own, and directly communicate with the blockchain and interact with all these actors in the decentralized network. At the moment, as I said, we were part of the NGI Ontochain project that is about to finish up the first batch, and we implemented there a proof of concept end-to-end that is basically in charge of making matches. It's capable of executing jobs, of auditing these jobs, and of interacting with the blockchain as you want. We have also a nice user interface, because we think still in this day the whole user experience is a large obstacle for people in the crypto space to get into it, and we are focusing a lot on making this easier and to also access get actors involved who are not the most crypto savvy or who are rather scared about the whole crypto field. So this is where we are trying to build a little bit of the bridge to the outside and get more people involved in that without having to be afraid of the abstraction layer of cryptocurrencies behind it. And basically that's it. We are planning to build to continue working on this product until we have our MVP, and we anticipate to launch the MVP in Q2 of next year. If you have any questions, these are my contact details. Please feel free to contact me in any of these channels or ask questions at the end of the section. Back to Peter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcel. So this was the last speaker for today. Now I see that in the chat we have some questions regarding the NFTs. So one of our participants is asking if the NFTs can be considered as security. So either Marcin or the other speakers can respond on this.
Okay, so let me take this one. I will answer as every lawyer. I would say it depends. So it's a really general question, and also which jurisdiction we are taking into account. If we take the definition of an investment contract from the United States, and if certain conditions are met, NFTs can be considered a security.
Thank you. So I have another question. So probably I think Marcin or Manuel can also answer this one. So both of you have presented very interesting use cases for NFTs. And I would like to hear what is your opinion on protecting existing artworks which are physical. So how they can be transformed into NFTs and how actually the ownership can be managed. So we have the NFT, which will be on the blockchain, and then we have the physical form of the artwork on the other side.
And again, I would say it depends. It's a question of legal importance as well, because when we think about an NFT, which actually NFT is apart from being a record on the blockchain, it also encompasses certain rights. So with NFTs for real estate or apartment houses and other types of real estate, we know that whenever we want to make a transactions with a real estate object, we need to have a specific form of the agreement, usually notarized by a public notary. And also it has to be recorded on a specific ledger, public registry of real estate. So just the transaction of an existing object in real life on the blockchain may not have any results in the real life, I would say. It all depends. And I find it really complicated how to solve this issue. And the situation is obviously different when we have objects, let's say, or rights that are created natively on the blockchain, like with CryptoPunks. They are on the blockchain. They cannot exist outside of the blockchain. So here the answer is quite straightforward.
Okay, so I think that if there are no other questions, we can finish up with this workshop. So thank you everyone for attending today. And be sure to attend also the other panels and workshops in this event. Thank you.